now, right now. Right 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 now, right now. Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest and everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the rally that just occurred on Bitcoin over the last 12 hours. As you will know by now, Bitcoin has rallied aggressively to over $27,000 in the second of two major legs to the upside ever since we bottomed out just below 25. The question on everyone's mind now is whether or not this second leg indicates that we're actually going to move into a new powerful uptrend, a new sustained rally. I believe that there might be some credit to that idea, and we're going to be discussing exactly why based on our analysis of the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets in today's episode of Coffee and Crypto Live. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't miss a beat by hitting that post notification bell. Really appreciate all of you for tuning in. Let's go ahead and read some chat here to get started, and then we're going to dive right on into it. Queen is first in chat today with some hearts. Shout out to you, Queen. Sean O'Brien in chat. BNB TC Crypto Alerts in chat. Christopher is in chat. Megatron John Foster Crypto says smash the likes. I like that comment. Chatty Party Pants said Jeb. Joe Bollier, Valerie Valenzuela is in chat. Let's see who else. Alex Nivo, James Sachs, Alan Crimmins said, I'm rich. Cool. Good deal. Manage it well. Manage it well. OC Pet Doctor is in chat. Brass and Blue Bonnets is in chat. Said, morning from Texas. How's that 10-gallon hat feel, my friend? Good to see you, my friend. All right, let's go ahead and jump straight on into it, guys. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get started. Bitcoin right now is trading at 27,190. It's down 0.5% in the last hour, but over the last 24, up 2.38. On the chart, you can see right here that Bitcoin has gone through two major legs to the upside. We had a large rally in the first part of last week. And ever since about 10 p.m. last night, we've continued to see another rally forming on Bitcoin here, breaking us above a very important level of resistance, that being this downtrending level of resistance. We'll come back to that in a moment. But first and foremost, I want to paint kind of the backdrop picture that we are facing right now. Again, I think it's very important that as analysts of any market, and as individuals that are trying to grow our net wealth by our wealth and our net worth by investing in the stock market, cryptocurrency market, real estate market, wherever you may be, I believe that it's important to first have a background, at least basic understanding of global markets, of what's going on geopolitically, what's going on economically. So let's talk a little bit about that. There is, of course, instability in the world right now with Russia being at war with Ukraine. There's also instability with the potentiality of China launching an incursion against Taiwan across the Taiwanese Straits. There is also quite a lot of instability in the Middle East right now, which is unfortunately nothing new, between Iran and Afghanistan, controlled by the Taliban. There's potentially a conflict going to be starting there. All three of those are very important regions of the world. Two of them are some of the largest exporters of oil. One of them is the largest importer of oil, that being China. Two of them are some of the largest exporters of raw resources. One of them is the largest importer of raw resources, just in general, that being China. Those are three very important areas of the global economy. You might think, well, Iran and Afghanistan, they're not very much online with the global economy. Yes, but they're right next to the Persian Gulf, which is where about a quarter of global crude goes through. So there's a lot of instability in the world right now that the United States government is paying close attention to, and the United States military is trying to manage by supplying weapons to the Ukrainians or by having carrier fleets in the South Pacific near the Taiwanese islands. So Why is that important? Why does that have to do with crypto? I like to tie these things in because I think that they are actually inextricably linked. And sometimes people think, oh, well, Jab, what does conflict in Eastern Europe have to do with Bitcoin? I think it has everything to do with Bitcoin because it has everything to do with the United States. This all goes back to the United States. It all hinges around the United States government. Unfortunately, I kind of hate to say that much of what we deal with on a day-to-day basis goes right back to our national government, but it's true. Our national government is looking at the geopolitical realities on the chessboard of the world, and at the same time, they are setting economic policy based on that reality that has an incredibly powerful impact on the Bitcoin market directly. And so what's going on globally has an inextricable impact to the United States markets and to Bitcoin. The Fed realizes a few different things. Number one, inflation has gone up. In the last 2 months, we've seen inflation go from 3% to 3.2% to 3.7%. If you've been watching this channel for the last 90 days, you saw every single bit of that coming because I told you about gasoline prices, how they are going up, how the only reason that CPI was down at 3% was because there was a huge amount of deflation printing on gasoline because of a quirk in the data, but now that quirk has ironed itself out. The gasoline inflation is starting to creep up, and within the next 2 months, we're likely to see headline inflation sitting at probably 4 to 4.3 instead of just 3.7. The Fed's looking at that. The Fed is also looking at the strength of the United States dollar against a basket of other currencies, including the ruble, which is a very powerful currency, which is a very important currency in the Russian-Ukrainian conflict because naturally it's the currency that is supplying the arms and the arms manufacturing going on in Russia is being transacted in. It's a very important currency that the United States wants to stifle. The United States Fed also sees jobs data. Jobs data is showing that there is very low unemployment. Data also shows us that there's relatively higher than average underemployment, and there's also GDP is doing relatively well. So all of those numbers give the Fed this picture that is making decisions based off of, and I really think right now the effective federal funds rate and the United States Central Bank balance sheet, which you don't hear about as much, and the CPI are three of the major impactors on the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market. So let's tie all of that together. It's Monday. Some of you guys are new here, so I'm seeing some new faces in chat. First of all, welcome to Coffee and Crypto. Really appreciate you for tuning in. But my point here today is that I want to start off by laying the foundation of what's going on globally, and then we're going to talk about how it impacts Bitcoin, and we're going to talk about how other forces in the Bitcoin market are impacting Bitcoin as well, and then we will get to what happened today and how that all slots into that bigger picture. If you're trying to explain something to somebody, I like to give them a big picture, then a medium picture, then a smaller picture, and then a detailed picture, right? I was just explaining Bitcoin to someone yesterday, and instead of giving a 30-minute long explanation just to get to the basic understanding, I said, look, Bitcoin is the first example of digital scarcity. When I explain Bitcoin, that is my overarching definition of Bitcoin. And so people think, first example of digital scarcity. I was just explaining this at someone's dinner table yesterday. First example of digital scarcity. What does that mean? And then I went into saying, hey, look, Bitcoin is the first example of anything online that has any scarcity. You can't just copy and paste it. It being scarce means that it can actually operate with supply and demand, and that's where it finds its value. Anyway, the point is we want to paint an overarching picture, and then we will get more narrow. Overarching picture, instability in the global economy. Otherwise, the United States markets are doing pretty well themselves, except for that CPI is pesky. Why is CPI pesky? Side note, CPI is continuing to go up for two reasons. Number one, the massive amount of printing, and by printing, I specifically mean QE done by the Fed in the form of the purchasing of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities in 2020. And the amount of economic growth going on in the United States right now. Say what you want about either candidate, Trump, Biden, both of them are doing, both of them did a lot of like nationalistic onshoring policies. Trump, obviously, Biden came in and realized, oh, wait, that was popular. I'm going to go ahead and steal that idea from Trump. And then I'm going to do some of that myself and put my own twist on it. And so you've had almost 7 years now of onshoring, of this whole like America first mentality of bringing manufacturing back, working on infrastructure, building our economy, kind of from both sides in different ways. Obviously, there's a lot of politics going on there. It's politics. But the United States market's been growing. The United States economy has been growing rapidly, and much of our production has been put right back into ourselves. And so that is naturally going to be an inflationary event as well. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin and where it's coming from, and then we can drive these two trains into each other and see if we can get a fancy explosion. All right, we've got the geopolitical economic train done. Let's look at Bitcoin. Right now, Bitcoin has been in this Super boring sideways trading formation. That's what I'm going to call it. Super boring sideways trading formation. And we've been just begging Bitcoin to do something interesting. About a month ago, we jumped off a cliff. Went cliff diving. Apparently, we forgot where the ladder was. And so we've just been sitting down here trying to keep our head above water ever since that moment. And it seems that we've actually got some kind of momentum. We couldn't find the ladder, but we found a vine or something to climb back up to the cliff. So maybe we can go doing it again later. Bitcoin has gone through a major rally here. And in fact, it's pretty funny because the trade setup that I gave you last week looks like it ended up coming into effect. You can see here, we put this trade setup right here on 26.5. Again, we like to use a 0.1% trailing stop loss. You can use a little bit larger than that if you want, but you're playing with risky biscuits if you do that. I prefer to get more guaranteed income on that than risking it for the biscuit too much. Nevertheless, Bitcoin did manage to rally straight through this trade, and it has rallied up to a new local high over the course of the month of September, around $27,400. Now, we are technically below this downtrend, but with the way this downtrend is drawn, it actually does make sense if you go and say, hey, we didn't break above that downtrend, but we actually rejected at it. As you can see, that would be a better way to draw the downtrend. The reason the downtrend was drawn where it was before was because I was trying to find the line of best fit between these highs and this high. So you can see it's a little higher than this high, a little lower than these highs. The market has clearly decided that one certain trend line is a trend line that it wants to go with, and that trend line is right here. This trend line has served as resistance, and we have not broken it. It looked like when we first started that we had broken it. But of course, as I said, we want to adjust the trend line with new incoming data. I would not argue that we've broken above this downtrending level of resistance yet, but good news, Bitcoin is trending up and that trend line is trending down. So eventually they're going to come head to head again, and eventually that trend line is going to break. Don't believe me? If you extend that trend line out for too far, and eventually, like next year, it's sitting at 17,000. Extend it too far, eventually it's sitting at 6,000. So eventually we're going to break that trend line. The question is when? It's a downtrend. Naturally, you're going to end up breaking it eventually. I believe it could come sooner than later. But let's talk a little bit more about the technicals before we go and start making predictions and plans. Let's start on the daily chart. Again, we want to start with our overviewing, overarching analysis, and then we will zoom in and look at the more detailed analysis. So here's the thing, guys. Lux Algo is an incredible technical indicator. I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes here and prove that. Over the last several years, Lux Algo, especially, let's look at the weekly chart. Lux Algo's weekly chart on Bitcoin has done an exceptional job of calling movements. You see, this buy signal came in right here and was confirmed. This one was confirmed right here. This buy signal 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 was confirmed right here. Let's just go ahead and show a few of them here. Some of these you weed out because they're duplicates. But you can see these buy signals come into play. Bitcoin rallies. You want the percentages? We rally up here to the sell signal about 200%. From here, you get the buy signal confirmed. You rally about 176%. 1 week later, a new buy signal comes in. Rally 500%. That's during the bull market last year. That is back analysis, applying this algorithm, Lux Algo, to the trend. Here, 200% to the top, 122% to the sell signal. Here, you go through a rally, 600% to the top, 527% to the sell signal. Here, buy signal 50% to the top, about 52% to the sell signal, 53% to the top. Here we see a buy signal came into play. 44% to the top, 32% to the sell signal. Lux Algo has a nearly perfect track record on some charts. On pretty much any chart, it's going to give you at least, and I'm talking worst case scenario, like a 60 or 70% chance of being right, which is something that you can bet on if you are trading. I'm not saying you should only trade by Lux Algo, but I can prove over and over again, and I've been proving it for like 2.5 to 3 years, that it is an incredible technical indicator and is very good at predicting the market consistently. And so if you're a trader or an investor, I would highly recommend, or just an enthusiast, I would highly recommend you get Lux Algo. Use coupon code JEB30, JEBB30 for 30% off at checkout. But why do I go ahead and prove to you the value of Bitcoin, of Lux Algo? The validity of Lux Algo because it's just given us a signal that's very significant. With this rally on the daily chart, we have seen trend catcher turn green. Oftentimes, you'll see a buy signal before trend catcher turns green. But Bitcoin still had this sell signal right up here on August 31st at about 27.3. Haven't gotten quite high enough. But so long as Bitcoin can stay up here, two things are going to happen. One, it's going to maintain the green trend catcher. So whenever we do see a buy signal come into play, it's going to be a confirmed buy signal. Last confirmed buy signal we saw was right here. Bitcoin rallied 20%. Last confirmed buy signal we saw from there, Bitcoin rallied about 4%. It was wasn't the best signal, but again, we're dealing with an algorithm here, not an individual with experience with trading. So you pair those two together, you get experience with trading. Lux Algo is incredible. You're going to do well. 27% rally here the time before. So again, a buy signal on the daily chart is very important. And in fact, all three of these rallies this year have been preceded by a buy signal on Lux Algo that has led the market very far to the upside. This time, 47%. This time, about 26%. This time, about 20%. If we see a buy signal come in here, it's going to be very significant. So when would that happen? Well, this trend catcher turning green is not likely to turn red because Bitcoin would need to go below this green trend catcher and probably goes quite a bit below it for it to turn red. We'd probably have to drop down to at least 26,000, but I think we'd probably have to drop below $26,000 to see trend catcher turn back red. Can it happen? Yes. Is it going to? Maybe not. Oh, and by the way, this trend catcher has not closed because the daily candlestick has not closed. We're looking for Bitcoin to close right here so that we do get that green trend catcher. If we do close here and we do get that green trend catcher, then that is going to give the bulls a little bit of excitement. Again, they haven't really thought, oh, this is really great just yet because we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that candlestick close. That's not confirmed. But if that does close, and you look at the MACD, which is going aggressively to the upside, and you look at the RSI, which is going aggressively to the upside, and you look at the fact that there is a bullish divergence here on the RSI forming, where we have lower lows on the daily chart and higher lows on the daily chart for RSI. This all starts to tell you that it looks like a bottom may be forming. It all starts to show you that something may be happening. And we've actually seen a lot more volume on the green days than we have on the red days. Look at this. 4 green days in a row, large volume. We saw a spinning top come in right here. Let me just go ahead and clear out all the drawings. We saw a spinning top coming in here on Friday the 15th. Bitcoin traded sideways, essentially extending the spinning top. This is basically 3 candle bodies of spinning top formations. All 3 of them look like spinning tops, but even still, if these 2 final ones, Saturday and Sunday, did not look like spinning tops, they essentially were, because this candlestick here on the 15th of September was a spinning top. And because it was a spinning top and these were sideways motions, then these are basically repeating that candlestick's signal. Hopefully that makes sense. The spinning top essentially means indecision. It essentially means, That's what it means. It means, That's what it means. It means, what should we do next? The market has told us. The market has told us we should go up next. And so that's good news. That's good news. It's a little bit like if you're looking to buy something and you sit there and you go, should I buy this? Should I not? And then eventually you say, yeah, I'll buy it. Okay, now we have the decision. Thank you. That took a while, but thank you. Right? We've all been guilty of it. No, I'm kidding. Good. Take your time. Take your time making purchases. Make the right purchases. Nevertheless, the market decided, should we go up? Yes, we should go up. And so Bitcoin rallied. And when we did rally, that's when we saw large volume. So that's good. The large volume is powerful because that tells us that the rally is real. It tells us that there was actually a lot of fighting to get the bulls up there, but the bulls still won. I like to use the analogy of, like, if you're the Romans, you're fighting the Carthaginians, and Hannibal's coming down from the Alps, and he's got his giant war elephants, and you're the 2 consuls that have to fight him. And by the way, they hated each other. Long story. You can go study the Battle of Cannae if you want to. If you have 60,000 troops from the Carthaginians facing off with 60,000 troops from the Romans, and 2 of their scouts get into it, and they start fighting, and one of them wins, is that going to give you really any information about who's going to win the battle? No. There's 60,000 people on either side. Have you ever been to a stadium with 60,000 people in it? Imagine that many people times 2 duking it out. Like, the Roman classical era history is so interesting to me. That's why I'm using the analogy. The 2 scouts, if there's low volume of, for lack of a better phrase, bloodshed, it's probably not going to tell you much of what's going to end up happening with the battle. If 2 of their little scouts, their little, like, observers, their little forward observers fight, and the Carthaginians win. Does that mean the Carthaginians are going to win the war? The battle? Not necessarily. The battle didn't happen yet. You got to wait for them to go at it. When they go at it, and it's 60,000 on 60,000, and there's no more real reserves because they're all fully deployed, then you know who won, because there's no likelihood of a second battle. The battles happened. And so that's kind of what we're looking at with volume here. When we look at high volume, that's essentially us saying, okay, this was real. This was a real battle. There was a lot of volume, right? In the same way that when the two scouts go at each other, what's the volume of soldiers in battle? 2, 1-on-1, right? That might be high, might be low. But if you got 60,000 men on either side, then the real battle is 120,000. So what is 2? That's kind of the same point here. Low volume on our red candlesticks. See a little bit of green, a little bit of high volume one time, but for the most part, low volume on our red candlesticks, high volume on our green candlesticks. That means when the bulls fight, they win. Good news. Good news for the bulls. Another thing, this is kind of just an eye check. The market's been trading sideways. All of a sudden, you get right past here, and something seemed to change, didn't it? Last Saturday, about a little over a week ago, something changed, didn't it? Bitcoin dropped, tried to set a fresh bottom, did set a fresh bottom, but failed to really crash through support and fall lower. And then all of a sudden, we look at the market now, and okay, Bitcoin's got a 3 white soldiers formation. We saw a spinning top, then we saw green coming out of it. Trend catchers turning green. We've got MACD very, very aggressively green. By the way, there's also bullish MACD divergence. People forget that, but I think it's also relevant. Uptrending MACD. We're about to go above the 0 level on the daily chart. Got RSI divergence that's bullish. It's wonderful. Looking on the 4-hourly chart, similar thing. 4-hourly chart. Got a bullish MACD cross. RSI is sitting at 75 for the first time since Grayscale won their case. And that was a, kind of a white swan, 1 in a million, not 1 in a million, but rare event. And it obviously didn't do much for the technicals because the market just wasn't ready. But the MACD is cross bullish, and we're up at 75 this time for no clear fundamental reason. There's news going on, but nothing as big as Grayscale winning their case. It's not that Bitcoin ETF didn't get approved, nothing like that. So what gives? Well, it seems that the market is actually genuinely going into a new rally under its own strength. And by the way, we have a confirmed buy signal on the 4-hourly chart. Buy signal came in, trend catcher turned green, then Bitcoin rallied. Look at that. Is that powerful or is that powerful? It's powerful. By the way, here's the take profit on this buy signal. Did it work? You tell me. Here's the take profit. And if you think that that's a reprint, let's go back over here with the replay tool. Replay tool don't lie. It's all the way up here. See it? Take profits all the way up there between 26.7 and 27.4. Run the market forward, and that's where we go. As you can see right there. These do reprint, but after you hit them. If we go through it, it'll reprint higher. So it doesn't reprint lower. It'll only reprint further in the direction that it is predicting. Hopefully that makes sense. If it's a buy signal, the take profits are only going to reprint further to the upside if you hit them. If it's a sell signal, they're only going to reprint further to the downside if you hit them, because you hit them. It's the only reason. So, 4-hourly chart looks remarkably bullish. Daily chart looks remarkably bullish. Hourly chart looks like we're at a decision point, and we need to be careful. Because we've come up here and we've hit the level of resistance. Now I've got to decide whether we're going to crash all the way back down to 26.5 or if we're going to be able to sustain the rally. I think that we may have a correction down here, $1,000 or so. But right now, Bitcoin's sitting above 27,000. It's a pretty cool level, $27,000. It's a big even, powerful level. So with the market sitting up here, if the market's able to hold here, then it only has this tiny little descending triangle pattern to contend with, and it could probably break through that pretty easily. I think the bulls are ready. They've loaded up their bags. The bears that were going to sell have sold. The bulls have managed to eat all this sell pressure for breakfast and reload their bags. Now the bulls are the ones with the initiative. I think that there is a stronger likelihood of a rally right now than a correction, is my conclusion, based on what's going on the charts. So again, let's take these two trains and ram them into each other. We talked about geopolitics. We talked about charts. Somebody said your measurements on Lux Algo are off. You cannot go by the optimized signal mark. Must wait for the candle close. The signals can print and then unprint until then. That is correct. You're absolutely right. I was giving ballpark figures. me going by the candlestick close is going to change it by 1 or 2%. I do make sure whenever I give those estimations, because I'm trying to move quick for the audience, that if I say something was profitable, that it was actually profitable. So that's where, yes, technically you do need to wait for the close, because they can, just like the trend catcher, it's not confirmed. I just said that on the trend catcher. The signals are not confirmed until the candlestick closes. That's why we're hoping that this candlestick will close up where it is right now so that we can have trend catcher. So absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. By the way, if you're enjoying today's stream, if you wouldn't mind taking a second to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, really helps to support what we're doing here. I really appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. So, again, we've got two trains here. The train of thought of geopolitics and the macroeconomics, and we've got the train of thought of what's going on the charts themselves. So let's just kind of smash those two trains together and see what happens and see if we can derail something and make a cool fireball. Okay. So I want to do that through the lens of short, medium, long term on Bitcoin. Short term, Bitcoin looks like it's about to go through a breakout above that downtrend. I'll give you a trade setup for that in a second. Medium term, the halving is coming, April of next year. That is going to lead Bitcoin, for the first time in history, into certain deflation. We have been disinflationary ever since the beginning because the inflation rate of Bitcoin goes down every 4 years. But deflation is where the actual circulating supply of Bitcoin is actually going down. This is going to be the first halving where we can basically guarantee, I mean, we can't be totally sure, but we can be a lot more sure than we are right now that we're actually losing Bitcoin out of the supply every single month, every single 10 minutes. And the reason for that is because people lose Bitcoin. They send it to wallet addresses that don't exist. They put an asterisk on the end of a wallet address because they misclick. And by the way, be so careful of that. People have lost millions of dollars doing that. People lose a hard drive with their private keys on it, whatever. It gets taken out of circulating supply, never to be seen again. 3.125 is going to be the block reward come the next halving. That's going to lead to lower inflation on the Bitcoin market, but the net inflation on Bitcoin may actually flip to de-inflation because of the loss of Bitcoin. So if we're going to see deflation on Bitcoin, it's probably not right now, but it very well may be then. During the next halving, we're likely going to see this transition from Bitcoin being an inflationary currency to a non-inflationary currency. That's a big deal. I'm talking zero. I'm not talking 2% like gold is. I'm talking none at all. That has a huge implication for investors, because when you look at Bitcoin and you realize that and you say, wait a minute, it has no inflation and it has enough decimals to be a unit of account to process hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars of transactions. Heck yeah. Let's go ahead and invest in that. And people are going to see that, and all the gold bugs, their kids that grew up with parents that are gold bugs that kind of have the same mentality, but they also realize, wait a minute, gold gets inflated 2% every year. They're going to see Bitcoin. They're going to say, I'm going to buy that. And those people are 40 or 50 by now. They're in the prime of their money making. They just might not have the technical understanding to go and get a Coinbase account and MetaMask and all this stuff in crypto. And they're waiting for an ETF so they can go tell their financial planner to go and buy it on Fidelity for them. When that comes online, when the halving's taking place, you've got the use case and you've got the on-ramp. You've got a very, very powerful marketing, a very powerful message for your marketing of Bitcoin that, hey, this is now essentially deflationary. Think about this, guys. Bitcoin, the reason people call Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme is because if you explain it the way I'm about to explain it, it sounds like it is. It's not, but it sounds like it is. The supply goes down over time if you include the amount of Bitcoin being lost, and the demand goes up. It's the perfect hack for supply and demand. The demand goes up all the time. Why? Because the supply is so stinking low. You've only got, and by low, I mean the increase of the supply is so low. 19.5 million. People call that a Ponzi scheme a lot of times. It's not. I'm not saying Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme, but you can almost see where people get that from if they're uninformed on the way the market works. You look at Bitcoin, and it ends up going up into the future for a very long time because of the way the supply and demand has been created. The demand's always going up, and the supply is almost always slowing. It is always slowing down, but it's eventually going to start going down. So you have the message for the marketing to these people that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, in the prime of their money-making career. They might even be done with having kids. Kids are out of the house is paid off. They've got a lot of disposable income. Where are they going to put it? Well, they're retiring in 15 years. They want to make money quicker than the stock market. Maybe they have a Roth IRA, which they should, and you should. If you don't, please do. That's just in the market. If you don't know what you're doing, just buy the SPY. quick financial tip. But they're saying, hey, I want to make even more. I want to beat the market. I want to beat alpha. And so they see Bitcoin and say, okay, I'm going to do it, but I don't know how. And I work 40 hours a week, and I'm trying to enjoy my time with my brand new granddaughter. So I'm not going to go figure that out. I've got enough money. I don't need the money, but I'd like to. And so they're going to wait for an ETF. You're looking at probably 20 to 50 million Americans in that camp that is very easy to explain the value prop of Bitcoin. All you need to do is to have a little bit of a rally some point in the last 12 months. Say, hey, look, recently it's doing well too. It's not just a history. Recently it's doing well. We're kind of getting that right now. The ETF comes online. The halving comes online. You've got a perfect storm for a massive bull market. That's the medium term. Bitcoin's moving in that direction. Breaking through this level is moving in that direction. Long term, Bitcoin is the answer to many of the world's problems. Not all of them, not even close, but many of them. One of the biggest issues in this world is that unless you are extremely wealthy, oftentimes you don't have the tools that it requires to beat the system and build wealth. Because you need to have a bank account, because you need to have access to a stable currency, because you need to have access to a currency that's not going to inflate. You need to have access to a hedge against currency. With other applications in the cryptocurrency space, you need decentralized identification because it doesn't exist in your country. There's not a trusted entity there in the first place, regardless of the idea of, oh, do we want to use a trustless entity? First of all, it doesn't exist, so the question's a moot point. So that's where things like Cardano come in with decentralized identification. All this to say, in the long term, Bitcoin solves a lot of the problems that the world's facing, especially economically, especially with the fact that people are losing all their money to inflation because their currencies are being hyperinflated. Short, medium, long term, Bitcoin's looking good right now. Sometimes it's short, medium term is looking bad, long term is looking good. It's pretty much always looking good long term. Sometimes short, medium term is looking bad. Right now, I think short and medium term is looking good. So that's where the final thing I want to talk about today comes in. The market, as it stands, could very well go through a rally at some point. And so the way I want to help you set that up is like this. You want to have an entry above this downtrend. You want to have an entry above this downtrend, and then obviously above where we are right now. So it looks something like this. It looks something like this, and then above that level right there that we just drew. And then you want to have your take profit up here. The take profit, you could put a first take profit if you want to scale out of the trade right here at 28,166 if you want, somewhere there. That's the grayscale ETF, where the grayscale ETF decision sent us to. You could exit out just a little bit before there. So if I were to draw just kind of part of that trade setup, it'd look a little bit something like this. You can see right there. But then you would move the entry price and the take profit up like this and like this on either side of the downtrend. From there, if we break above that, that's where you can start playing with other trades. And we'll get to some more of those as that comes. But that first trade setup right there is, I think, what is going to help you to make some profit. Try to get a trade above this downtrend until we go to about 28. That's about an $800 trade right now. About a $600, $700 trade right now. So that's what I would say on that. As far as a short, I wouldn't play too much with shorting the market right now. The market is very clearly picking a direction, picking bullish. And so you could look for a short. I think if you're looking for a short, you're probably going to be doing that down on the kind of a scalping time frame down on the minute chart. And of course, I can't really give you a trade setup on that because it's going to move so quickly. Now, the thing I do want to mention is on the minute chart, we are forming a giant head and shoulders pattern. So if you're doing your minute chart technical analysis like a good trader should, then you're seeing that and you're thinking, okay, well, hang on a second. We need to see if Bitcoin's going to set a strong bottom before I can say we're going to break above this downtrend. But that's what we look for. That's what you're there for, doing technical analysis, to see whether that's going to happen or not. In short, I think Bitcoin's in good shape, and many of the technical indicators are pointing to the upside. And so now we just have to sit and wait and see what happens. I think it's going to be good. All right, let's go ahead and read some chat. Appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Supply is falling. Supply is falling. Oh my. Vintage Excellence said, yes. Scouts equal recon. That's right. Rocket Metal News in chat. Good to see you. Said, thanks, Jeb. Thank you. Tell us more ancient history, Jeb. I would love to do that. Right now, I have to go. I'm really sorry, guys, but I would love to use more analogies in that direction if you would like. Crypto Surge said, wow, Jeb doesn't say hi to me anymore. I'm sorry. Hello. Hello. How does the military lose a $135.8 million stealth jet? Somebody probably left the keys in there and they forgot to turn the stealth off. Just saying. Did that happen? Is that a piece of news I missed? They lost an F-35 Lightning or something? Hi, Jet. Crypto Trucker Mike said, hi, Jeb. Is it finally time for the next Bitcoin's rally? It's getting there. It's getting there. Philly Skills 1428 said, ayo, what's good, my guy, Jeb? Hi there. All right. Bitcoin Training in chat said, what's going on? Good to see you. Billy Skill said, choo choo. All right, guys. I hope you did enjoy today's stream. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And also make sure to sign up for Lux Algo. It's giving us some great technical indicators, and indications and trade setups right now. If you are a trader or if you are an investor, I would highly recommend getting Lux Algo because it's really going to help you making trades that are profitable. I highly recommend checking it out, especially right now because it's so important in this stage where we're trying to go into a new rally. This is the prime time for Lux Algo. So use coupon code JEB30, JEBB30 for 30% off at checkout. I'm going to have to wrap it out. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.